Hi everybody, I'm Dawn Meifert and thanks so much for joining me on Here's the Deal. So I've been getting a lot of emails with very specific questions from people and I've decided to focus on those for the next week moving forward. What we're going to focus on today is debt, deficit, what is the difference, and the surplus, and did Clinton really have one? So the U.S. government balances its books every year just like all of us, just on a different calendar. The U.S. begins its fiscal calendar year on October 1st. So every single year, whether we spend more or bring in more is either classified as a deficit in the years that we spend more money than we bring in via tax revenue, or a surplus on the years that we have more tax revenue than what we have spent. Now, the only president to do that in recent history was Bill Clinton. He actually had a surplus, a multi-year surplus, that he handed off to George Bush. So a lot of people say, Bush had this surplus and he squandered it. Well, yes, that's true, he did. The surpluses may well have continued under George W. Bush if he had not enacted the tax cut that, the largest portion of that tax cut went to the very wealthy, started two wars that were unpaid for, and then we also had the whole healthcare prescription debacle that was also unpaid for. So back to the subject. When we have debt, that is kind of like the credit card, the total that we owe. So deficit is year over year, surplus, same thing, year over year. Debt is the combined total. So have you ever heard people say, I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, but really fiscally, conservatively, I'm a conservative when it comes to fiscal matters? I've heard that all the time. So let's take a look at some of this real quick around what presidents contributed the largest percentage of debt that we now hold. And this year, I think you're going to find some of this stuff very surprising. And let's start with the patron saint, Ronald Reagan, who also, remember, granted amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants. Good for him. Good move. So Ronald Reagan increased the percentage of debt by 188%. Bush Sr. contributed 55.6%. Bill Clinton contributed 35%. George W. Bush, he's back up another big whopper. He contributed 89% of the overall debt that we hold, and President Obama has contributed 41%. So when someone tells you they're fiscally conservative and that's why they're voting for the GOP, they certainly have their facts and figures backwards. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Dawn Meifert and this has been Here's the Deal.